Hey, what's up guys? It's Marv, and I know it has been a while since my last video. I think this has been the longest I've ever gone without an upload in many years. So firstly, I do apologize for that. So I want to touch on some things before I talk about the Drive Syndicate. Firstly, everyone who's been asking about the fires in Los Angeles, if you didn't know, that's where I live. Thank you all for your concern. Thankfully, I am safe, my family is safe, everyone that I know is safe. We have huge, strong winds as well at the moment, so we do have another fire that just started today, which is really fun. Thankfully, it's not near me, so we're good, hopefully for the time being. Thank you all for your messages. The other thing I wanted to mention is after this video, if you want some more nice Asphalt content, Sephia did a really awesome interview with Future Flash. The second part is out now. I'll link that in the description down below. And if you're on her channel, you can also check out my interview if you happened to miss that. The other thing I want to mention before I get into the Drive Syndicate is that the reason why there was such a long break in between videos was not only the fires and traveling, but also I was working on the Ferrari HP Esports Asphalt Series 2024 vlog. So I finally finished it. I'm hopefully working with Gameloft to get it in the game, maybe. That'd be really cool. So we'll see about that, but the video is finished and hopefully it will be uploaded sometime within the next few days. Alright, so let's talk about the Drive Syndicate 10. So as with the recent Drive Syndicate, I have changed my expectations. No longer am I going for as many cars as possible, spending as much time as possible. This time around, I set my expectations really low because there was a little bit of fiddling about with the cars beforehand. Like, they changed the Maserati MC20 from having a car hunt, and everyone was like, why did that change happen? And well, this was the reason, is because the MC20 was part of the Drive Syndicate. So that was a little disappointing to see, I'm not gonna lie. It would have been nice to have a car hunt for that car before the Drive Syndicate started, and that sort of left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth when it started, because with the past couple of Drive Syndicates, I have had at least one or two of the cars already, therefore making the event a lot easier to progress in. This time around, that was absolutely not the case. I don't think I had a single one of the cars starting out in the Drive Syndicate 10. So immediately, that meant I had even lower expectations this time around in terms of how far I'll go. So I went as far as getting the Asphalt and getting it to 3 stars, which isn't bad. It's a decent A-class car. However, it would have been nice to get to the McLaren Sabre. I believe I ended up with around 45 blueprints out of 70. So yeah, not really the greatest, but it does mean in the future it won't be super hard to unlock. With that being said, I am still happy with the progress that I made for 2 reasons. Firstly, a lot of the money runs are still incomplete. Well, now that the event is over, I can't access them, but this time around, I didn't do nearly as much grinding as I usually do because I frankly didn't want to put in that much time and effort into it just to unlock the McLaren Sabre at the end. A 1-star car is kind of useless to me, but also I have better things to do with my life. And the other thing was, in terms of not losing a lot, I didn't also lose a lot of time, but I also didn't lose a lot of tokens. In fact, I did not spend a single token on this event. When the relays came around, firstly, they were really late compared to the other Drive Syndicates, but also at that time, I was again still at that 45 out of 70 mark, and with the amount of tokens I would have got from those relays, I would not have a guaranteed unlock of the Sabre. I'm sure with a little bit of luck, I would have gotten the unlock, but I figured I'm just not going to spend that money, or tokens, I guess in this case, if I'm not a guaranteed unlock, and so I didn't. With that being said, that means now I can save those tokens for future cars. One thing you may not know about getting the packs from the Drive Syndicate versus normal packs from the shop is with the Drive Syndicate, usually the guaranteed blueprint is only 1. So you buy that 10 pack, you're only guaranteed 1 blueprint, whereas with the normal packs you'll get from the shop from, 750 tokens to 900 tokens, it's usually 3, sometimes even 4 blueprints. So just going off of the guaranteed drop there, unless you're really, really close to unlocking something in the Drive Syndicate, personally, I don't think it's worth dumping tokens into a car just for the Drive Syndicate cars. you can wait until those cars are released in the normal game in the near future. With that being said, of course, something like the CC850 or the Tartarus, those may not be readily available, but the normal cars like the MC20, the Jaguar, the Asphalt, those cars will come around even more often than those high-end S-Class cars. So if you're close to starting it up or you're really close to unlocking it, I wouldn't fret too much. You're probably going to unlock them in the near future. With that being said, let's talk about changes for the future that I would like to see. Now, of course, I'm going to talk about mainly balancing changes and grind changes, but I would like to see the introduction of multiple cars for each stage. And what I mean by that is, instead of, let's say this time around, only having access to the MC20 during the second stage of the Drive Syndicate, I would like the ability to have maybe 2 or 3 cars, just increasing the chances that maybe it is already in your garage and therefore progression is a bit better. Maybe if that choice was afforded to players, maybe the consequence would be, oh, you don't get as many coins if you complete the race, but you still do progress. I don't know, I would just like to see that sort of balance change, because right now it does feel like this type of setup they have going for the Drive Syndicate is purely how do we milk as much profit as we can? How do we make the grind as agonizing as humanly possible? One very popular post I saw on Reddit was someone freaking out about the money runs and how in some of them you start with only 2,000 coins. And I have to agree with that. It is absolutely ridiculous. You have to do like 10 or 20 of those races to open up one 10 times pack for the later cars. And that is frankly insulting. I know the point of the Drive Syndicate is to start a little bit of a grind, and for free players, I understand, but it still is really insulting to players that you only get 2,000. If you were to up that count to maybe 6,000, and it's fine if they keep the maximum cap of that section to 10,000 or 15,000, I'm not necessarily complaining about that. I'm just complaining about the amount of races you have to do to reach that cap. So in general, more cars per stage would be nice to see. I highly doubt that's going to be changed, but it would be nice. And money runs need to be changed. This isn't something that I'm going to say lightly, like, oh, you know, it would be nice. Nuh-uh. I am going to stop doing the money runs that only give you 2,000 coins, because that is frankly insulting the more that I think about it. Like, you're going to do all of these races, and not only are you going to start with 2,000, but more than likely you're going to end up with maybe between 1 and 2,000. You're going to have to do like 20 races just to get to the point where you can buy a 10 times pack for a car. That's just ridiculous. I'm not going to spend that amount of time on trying to get cars. Now again, if you're the type of person who you like that grind and you want to go for it and you're not necessarily affected by it, that's all cool. This is our opinions we're talking about, and of course in the comments section down below I would love to hear your thoughts on this change. But at least from my point of view, of course, coming from that old school mobile gaming era where you paid $7 or $8 and you got an entire game, I understand that nowadays businesses are funded off of those microtransactions, but those types of limitations to free players is just a little bit insulting, and I wish I had a different word to use. But frankly, it is a little upsetting as well from a free-to-play user saying like, wow, that is really seeming like they won't budge on how much you have to pay or how much you have to grind. It's just a little weird to me. So just to wrap that part up, more flexibility, less grind, that's going to be nice. I doubt those changes will happen, but hey, I'll give feedback about that because it would be nice. The other thing I want to talk about is the cars themselves. I would like to see free-to-play users grabbing cars from this event that are a little better for their class. The cars that we had this time around were not kings. They weren't necessarily that great. The Asphalt is decent, the Sabre is decent, but they're not going to be kings or anything like that. I would like to see an increase in quality of the cars that free-to-play players can realistically get to. That would be nice to see. And for that matter, I would like to see better performance for the top car, even though nobody's going to unlock it. If you've seen my video about the Razor Tartarus, you know my thoughts about it, but it was a little underwhelming with how that car performed compared to the rank that Gameloft gave it. So I'm going to keep it short and simple there, guys. Again, I have the vlog for the previous Asphalt tournament coming up soon, and those other things I mentioned at the beginning of the video. I do have more content planned. I am not going to take any more of those extended breaks. Thank you guys for your patience while I work out everything like the vlog and, you know, maybe my house burning down. Thankfully, it's not going to, at least for the time being. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I will catch you all later.